Hey folks, it's Tom, your Frugal Prepper. I'm working on my $400 Buick Lucerne, which it has more than 400 in it. It's got another transmission in it now, and all kinds of work's been done to it. But I got a new door. It matches pretty good. It's slightly different, faded, and the pinstriping doesn't quite line up, but it's the same color code on the car. But this car just faded a little differently than mine did, but it doesn't have the big giant rust hole in it. The old door had a big giant rust hole. It started out as a small one, but it just got bigger and bigger. I'll show you over here. It had this rust hole in it right here. And so I got that door replaced, and I got a free piece of glass with that door, even though I only bought the skin. They left the glass in it. But I put my glass in there because my windows are tinted. I just got done putting a new axle in it. She had a little vibration when you got around 65 or 70 miles an hour. I don't know if this will... There's just a little bit of play in that guy. So 65 above vibrations usually aren't balancing, usually aren't the tire balance. That's usually more an axle, around 60, 65 or so, you know. So I got the new axle in. I also replaced the rear motor mount because that one needed replaced. See, it's all blown up and falling apart. So now I have a few codes. And I have a code for the oxygen sensor. I have a code for the evap solenoid, and a code that normally comes up for the catalytic converter, but with the oxygen sensor not working, the catalytic converter code's gone away because it can't run the test without a working oxygen sensor. So I'm going to show you how I diagnose this. Alright, so I got my scan tool all plugged in, and it's connected to the car. We're going to do a read fault code. We're going to do a TTC display, and we're going to see what codes it has. And it has one. It doesn't have the evap sensor because it hasn't run that drive cycle yet, since I cleared the codes the other day to see which ones would come back. But I know that evap purge solenoid is leaking and it's bad. So heated oxygen sensor, heater resistance, bank 1, sensor 1. So this only has one bank, this engine. Runs all 6 cylinders. It trims the fuel on all 6 cylinders at the same time. It only runs one set of oxygen sensor for all 6 cylinders. So you don't want to get confused. A lot of GMs are like that. Your 3.4s, I think before that they had a 3.2, they had a 3.5, they have a 3.9. Those are all the same. What we're going to do is determine if this heater's actually bad in the oxygen sensor. So what you have is you have a little heating element in your oxygen sensor, and that runs across 2 of the wires, right? And I happen to know which 2, so I'm going to tell you. But usually you would look for, on most cars, 2 wires that are the same color. Not on a GM though. But you can pull up a connector diagram and look if you need to know. But you're going to test for resistance across those 2 wires. And you're going to see if you have a nice low ohm resistance or if it's open circuit. If it's an open circuit, then you have an open heater or open wiring somewhere in the oxygen sensor. You want to you don't want to try to patch wires on oxygen sensors because they actually use the little gap in between the insulation and the wiring as a way to breathe, believe it or not. So, you know, if it's testing bad resistance, you just need a new oxygen sensor. But then we're going to also test to make sure that the car is putting out power to the oxygen sensor. So I'm going to show you how to run both those tests. Okay, so here we see we have the connector with the tab up on the top, A and B, C and D. And D is the power main relay fused. And Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, and C is heater load control, bank 2 sensor 1. And this is reference voltage and low reference. So those are your signal wires. These two are going to be your these two are going to be that. So that's going to be C and D on that side with the connector upside. So that's the same wires I thought they were. Okay, so right here is my oxygen sensor connector. And what I want to do is plug in, and these are going to be what this facing the top, it'll be these two wires on your left. So right there, actually it's going to be the two on the right. Hang on. So you plug in to it right there. It's these two wires, so it's going to be these two wires, so it's going to be these two over here. So we'll go ahead and hook up to those and see what kind of resistance measurement we get. We're getting 3.9 ohms. That's not terrible. I don't know what the ohms are supposed to be on this, but I expected to see an open circuit. So now I need to check and see if I'm getting voltage to those from here. So I'll plug in my other connectors here and here, and then we'll just hook this up to our test light right here. I'm just going to go on my low current. Okay. And so now that should light up. I think when I turn the key on, I might have to start the car. I'm not sure. Let me see, and we'll see if this light right here lights up. It should light up, and then it should pulse. So we see we're getting some voltage there. It's lighting up the test light. So we know that that is working from the computer, but the computer's saying there is a resistance error. Now that can be that the heater only goes bad resistance when it gets hot. So we might have to let it run. But I have the new oxygen sensor because I already bought one. So I'm just going to measure the resistance on the new one and see what it says. Just out of curiosity. This is an aftermarket, cheapy Chinese one. Nothing special. Got on Amazon, or I think I got this one on eBay for like 20 bucks. It might have been more, like 15 bucks, I can't remember. It's a cheapie. So, what I want to do is take and measure this. And so, again, it's going to be these two on this side. So we get 9.29 ohms on that one. So we're getting nearly double the ohms on this one that we got, that we're getting on the existing one. I think that's probably a bad O2 sensor. It might be going to open circuit, but usually when it's open circuit, it'll give like an open circuit code. It's giving a bad resistance code. So my guess is the resistance is just too low on that one. So I'm going to go ahead and replace it. But a lot of times on these, you'll see that they'll just read as an open circuit. It'll just say OL. It means it's overloaded and it's an open circuit. Whatever OL means. But that means open. But this one's not open, but it has a lower resistance than the new one. It's also possible that this resistance changes as this heats up. This is also an aftermarket sensor that I got from the junkyard a couple years ago off of an engine because a mouse ate through my old wiring on my old sensor. So we're just going to try replacing this. We're going to clear the code and we're going to see if the code goes away. But that's how you want to test it. And basically, if you're getting a resistance error code, but you're lighting up this test light by going across those two power pins, it's almost got to be the O2 sensor. Something's wrong with it. It's either opening circuit when it gets hot, something else is going on, because you're getting good voltage to it. And it's not like it's getting a bad reading. That's the resistance on the heater circuit for the O2 sensor, that code. So we're just gonna go ahead and replace her. So what I got is my O2 sensor socket. I'm gonna climb up on my stool here and crawl back in here and put that on the O2 sensor. Clear down here on this exhaust manifold. Oh, come on. Get on there. Okay. Now, walk up to her here. Oh, come on. Oh, crap. Sometimes he's gonna be a little bit of a bitch. Now, on a lot of cars, you do not want to run generic O2 sensors. But on GMs, you know, there's enough of those out there. They've got the aftermarket generic ones pretty tuned in. So here's that one. And here is our new one. They look a little different as far as how they go down in there, but hey, I guess if it works, it works. Now I gotta get down in here. Oh crap, my stool's tipping. There we go. Kind of hand threaded in there first. Oh crap, it came out. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm ready to put my tool back down on there and give her a good snugging up. I know you guys can't see anything. I'm sorry about that. It's in a really bad spot. Taking the camera down in there. And it's nighttime out, so there's not a lot of light. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now we gotta get it off the wire. There we go. All right, and this has an appropriate little thingy bob to go in here, hold that wire, and we can plug that back in. There we go. We're ready to clear our code, and hopefully she don't come back. I'm pretty sure since that's a resistance code, this thing's got some bad resistance. It measures different than the new one. I don't know exactly how many ohms these are supposed to be, but we'll go ahead and we'll clear the code and see if she comes back. All right. And that's all I got, folks. Time for Frugal Prepper.